The content of this podcast is provided for general informational purposes only and is not intended as, nor should it be considered a substitute for professional medical advice.
Sweaty and pissed, sweaty and pissed. Menopause makes me sweaty and pissed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sweaty and Pissed, Menopause and More. This is Leanne Morgan, comedian and nut job. And I have my darling, brilliant nurse practitioner, Karen Nickel.
There I am. I probably feel like a nut job too, but hey, it's that time of life and COVID time. We're all feeling like nut jobs.
Okay, here we go. We're going to start out.
Start out with the COVID.
Yeah, let's just start with the main stupid COVID. Okay, because a friend of mine, we were talking this morning, and she's a comedian, and we were, entertainment's going to be the last thing to come back. And we, in big groups, because you can't get big groups together, and every day we talk about, have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? We never hear anything. So she just said, I feel a little down. I think it's getting to me. And I said, I feel a little down, and I know everything's going to be all right, but eventually, you don't know when. I think there's just a lot of questions, and it causes fear, and the unknown and what's going to happen. And then you have fear of getting sick and all that, and my little mom and daddy getting sick. And so are you finding a lot of people coming in the office and going, I need a therapist or I need a antidepressant? What are they saying?
Both. But also, a lot of, I probably hear from the majority of my patients that they just say, I'm just tired of this. I'm just tired of this. And it is fatiguing, and it's, and it's hard to feel like we have to accept this as our norm, but it's our norm for now, but it will get better. But 7 months into it, we're just everybody's a little draggy, weary. And now we're trying to balance being out in the world and avoiding COVID. And I think that's exhausting. Before everybody was home and, you just didn't worry about that much because you were at home. But now that everybody's out and about, I think people worry and are just tired of being on their guard all the time, Yeah. And you pretty much have to be, I'm not saying you have to be obsessive, but, have to be aware and keeping your hands clean and keeping your mask on and, so. Yeah.
Well, and I was telling you before we got started, I was in Michigan and my daughter went with me, and we had to get on a ferry, and you could either go down underneath in the ferry and be out of that cold wind. Cause it felt like bitter Alaska or Canada. And it was just freezing, or you could sit up top in the open air. And I just said, let's sit in the top of the open air and hold on to each other. We had on coats, scarves, gloves. And I put up a video last night of us holding on to each other and in those waves. But we had our mask on, and really the mask kept us warmer. I thought, I'm glad I've got these masks on, but I thought we can't get up underneath there. That's too many people together. So it just wears on you.
Yeah. You just have to be aware all the time. And I think that's just getting exhausting for people.
And let me tell you that we got to Detroit to the airport, and there was hardly anybody in that airport. It was like a ghost town. That was freaky. But across the way in the gate was going to Seoul, Korea. And Tess and I sat and watched. It was just this big whole thing. And you go to the bathroom because we had a huge layover, and the sweet people going to Seoul, Korea had their children and themselves wrapped in plastic.
What do you mean?
They had on face shields, but like a rain poncho. But I don't know what that was. If there's something you can get now, they had little children and themselves, the mothers, with a sheet of plastic over them, and a shield and a mask and gloves. And I'm telling you, it looked like a scene from Outbreak. And Remember that movie where everybody just fell out in the street? And I just thought, man, this is freaky. And those little children walking around like that, and then they're going to have to get on a plane and sit in that.
Well,
so anyway, that whole kind of stuff is just
surreal. It's surreal
and freaky, but anyway, we had a good time. Tess and I sat, and you know how funny she is.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a ball and had each other, and so I'm glad I had her with me. We travel well together. If it had been Chuckina, if I'd have had Chuck with me, I would have had to have sex the whole time I was in Michigan. I would have been cold and freaked out with the mask on, having to do it. So and I'll take him on another trip, and I'll do what I got to do, to keep him happy. But it was so nice to have Tess, and she did my makeup, and
that is nice.
We ate, and we walked, and we did, and we had a really nice time. We went on a buggy ride, and back in the woods, and I paid out my butt for a private horse and buggy, so we wouldn't be on the horse and buggy with other people. So I paid an enormous amount of money to ride with a man named Tony, who was precious, and I loved him, but he did not have historical information on a tour. He told us how he's turning 50 and needs to quit smoking. We talked about the Nicorette patch. We talked about where he's going to buy his burial plot. I found out all about Tony. I didn't find out that much about the Revolutionary War, the Civil War Hospital in Mackinac Island, the fur trading. I didn't get to hear about that, but I heard about his Nicorette. So anyway, all right, enough about that. We've got questions that people are asking you.
Yes, we have lots of questions from our Facebook our listeners that they posted on Facebook, and I just thought we could run through those and answer them, and because it's sort of a mishmash of things, but I figured if one person has that question, probably a lot of people have that question. So and some of them are very
they do.
Yeah. And some of them are very simple, but could be helpful to a lot of people. So the first thing was Bonnie reported that she's been buying Puritan's Pride Dim, the diindolylmethyl, and
yes.
And just as a reminder to the listeners, diindolylmethyl is made from cruciferous vegetables, or it's in cruciferous vegetables, I should say, and so it's in this capsule, and what it does is help with appropriate metabolism of our, I shouldn't say bad estrogens, but our more stimulatory estrogens. It helps convert them to a safer estrogen, and helps us get rid of estrogen metabolites. So it helps with high estrogen symptoms or estrogen dominance, which we've talked about before. Anyway, so she's using Puritan's Pride, and she said that product is out of stock. So she was wondering what other options are out there for her DIM supply. So I just want to let her know, and all our listeners know, that Now brand, NOW brand, makes a good DIM product. So that's usually readily available. Nature's Way has a DIM product, and you can find that on websites like Swanson's website. And Life Extension, which I've talked about other Life Extension products, they have a DIM product, and it's called Cruciferous Vegetable Supplement. So those are three options. They're good brands. They're available online. I don't know about your local health food store, but I know they're available online. So Now brand DIM, Nature's Way DIM, and Life Extension Cruciferous Vegetable Supplement. So that should help you, Bonnie, I hope, and others who are using Puritan's Pride DIM. So hopefully they'll get that back in stock.
Okay, and real quick, Karen, I know you had to beat it to death, but for people that are just listening, if estrogen dominant, some of the to know if you're, what she's talking about is when you're estrogen dominant, and those symptoms can be sore, tender breast,
feeling puffy, having fluid retention, foggy thinking, low sex drive, heavier, if you're premenopausal, you can have heavier periods, worsening PMS symptoms, mood swings, just don't feel well in general. And then in menopause, you wouldn't have the period issues, but you can have the excess weight gain, fluid retention, foggy thinking, low sex drive. So it's definitely one of those things where if you feel like, gosh, my hormones are really I think my hormones are out of balance, likely it's estrogen dominance. That's the most common hormone imbalance and one that causes the most symptoms usually.
And so you had me on DIM a long time ago. I'm not taking it right now. Should I get back on? It sounds like I'm.
Yeah, well, sometimes DIM in menopausal women can clear out so much estrogen that people end up getting low estrogen symptoms, even if they're taking estrogen. So DIM can be a very good thing in terms of that conversion issue, but you just need to dose it appropriately so we don't end up causing low estrogen symptoms. So it's a product or a supplement I use and recommend quite a bit because estrogen dominance is pretty prevalent. Yes, indeed. So another question is, again, about hormone imbalance. A question from Robin. She said, have you done a show on excess testosterone? My mom has excess testosterone for some time, has had excess testosterone for some time, and doctors never have figured out why. There's no tumor. She's now in her 70s. Her biggest complaint is excess hair growth. So it's a good point that Robin made that you do, especially in a 70-year-old woman, you want to make sure you don't have a testosterone or estrogen secreting tumor somewhere, like on your ovaries, if she still has ovaries, because we can grow tumors that secrete hormones. So it's good to rule that out first, especially in a 70-year-old woman. But my suspicion for her is I don't know what her lifestyle is and what her current life stressors are other than COVID. But when we have a lot of stress, and our adrenal glands can't secrete enough cortisol, which is our chronic stress hormone, if your adrenal glands can't keep up with cortisol secretion, they start secreting testosterone. So interestingly, I think I mentioned this to you before, Leanne, that during this COVID time, many, many women I see have had elevated testosterone levels. And some of them are on testosterone, but they've been on that dose before and never had a high testosterone level. So I suspect that we have a lot of adrenal secretion of testosterone in a lot of women. So that may be some of her issue. And what we would do for that is to give her adrenal support supplements so that her adrenal glands function better. And there are medications like spironolactone, which is a water pill that helps lower testosterone levels. So that would be certainly something to discuss with her provider so that she can maybe, if it's appropriate, get on something like spironolactone, or at least find out if she needs some adrenal supplementation. And I don't mean adrenal hormone supplementation. I mean adrenal support supplements. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you love the good one from Gaia.
Gaia Herbs, right? Has a good one.
Got a good one.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to, you told me to pull back from my testosterone like every other day because I was getting acne.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I'm sure, the stress of the main stupid COVID.
Yep.
Yeah.
So interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Another question, we had a lot of questions about the products for skincare. For those of you who haven't been listening to recent episodes, our last 3 episodes, correct? Last 3 episodes, we've had your lovely daughter, Tess Morgan, with us, and she's given us tips on skincare and makeup. And I have posted all of those all those makeup and skincare products on the website in a blog, which is at the bottom of the page, the web page, and they're labeled. So it has Tess Morgan giving skincare tips, part 1, part 2, part 3. And so all those are on the website in a blog at the bottom of the page, and they're all linked. So you just click on the product.
Oh, Karen Nickel, did you do all that?
I did all that.
Oh, my darling. Well, honey, thank you.
I'm trying to work
Thank you for having to do all that. And they've all got links to the products?
Mm-hmm. You just click.
Smart thing.
You just click on the link, the name of the product, and it takes you to the link. I linked to the actual website for like Laura Mercier. It's at the Laura Mercier website versus, Ulta or Sephora or wherever, because people can buy it wherever they want to buy it. But I just have linked everything to the actual company website. So.
Oh, well, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So that's all on there. The question I do have for you that I didn't have an answer to is Loretta asked, which Laura Mercier skincare product did you mention that was good for rosacea?
That was the tinted moisturizer. Well, I think all of their products are good for people with rosacea. So all their skincare, all their makeup, their foundations, all that is really calming because it has emu oil in it. And that evidently calms rosacea. And so I have used their tinted moisturizer for years. And I'm 55 and I like the illuminating because it has, you can use any of theirs. They've got several and this product is always number one in the Allure Beauty Picks and that Big Style magazine when it would have the top tinted moisturizer. It always is at the top. But the illuminating, I think, gives a dewy look that's good for our age. And it's got sunscreen in it that we need every day. And it's light and you don't have to have a big, heavy makeup look. It's just something you can throw on like a moisturizer, but it evens your skin tones out. And I was recommended that years ago when I lived in San Antonio and I had a horrible rosacea breakout. I looked like I had acne like a 14-year-old. And I walked into Saks Fifth Avenue, never been in one, hadn't been in one much since, because that's for hoop-de-doo people. And I saw this beautiful woman at the makeup counter and I asked her and she goes, you need to go over to the Laura Mercier because they're known for helping people with rosacea. So I've used it ever since. And that was probably, that was over 15 years ago.
Yeah. So I have that on the blog because I think I'm pretty sure I put in the illuminating, recommending the illuminating.
Oh, good. Yeah. But if you don't want a dewy look, if you want a more matte look, they've got other ones too. All of them are wonderful. And I love all their eye pencils and all that kind of stuff. Tess likes them too. She likes to work with them. And I would apologize again for these little beagles. This time of day, there's that's the UPS man.
Oh, good. Maybe
she's
something
fixing
fun's
to
coming.
give him a big cussing. That's Gigi, and she's she's looking out the window.
So, okay. Are the doggies out there? They sound settled.
I don't know where they are. I can't promise anything. There's a cat that runs through this porch, and they hate that cat. And then they get on a toy and go. Rrr, 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 rrr. Oh.
Well,
but they're okay right now.
Yeah. So for Loretta, you just need to go to the website, sweatyandpissed.com, go to the bottom of the page. There's a blog area and click on the makeup, or actually probably the skin prep blog I did. And the Laura Mercier stuff will be in there. That'd be good for rosacea. And you mentioned the eyeliner. Remember you were talking about the no tug eyeliner, and I know somebody else on the Facebook page mentioned that she went ahead and bought one and loves it. It's not tugging on her eyelids.
Oh, good. From It Cosmetics. Yeah, that's a good line for our age too.
Yeah, it's good.
Now the fourth video that we will be doing we just did the blush, powder, and bronzer. And then the fourth one will be eyes. Tess is going to do eyes, eyebrows, and maybe even eyelashes. We'll see if she can, if we can't fight in my bathroom. And because she'll
and lips too. Will she do lips on that one as well?
Oh yeah, she'll do lips too.
Okay. And then
we may have to do a fifth face. One. I don't know. That
well,
might
that's
be a
what
lot,
I was thinking. Because she was thinking she could only do eyes in one of them, but we'll see.
Okay, yeah, you're right, lips. And I've got this where I've sucked out of a straw, and so it is good to know the lines over my lips. So it's good to know like a hyaluronic acid or something to plump. She'll talk about that. She's big on plumping. Whew.
Yeah. So if you want to see some of this, we have the videos on our Facebook page.
Yes, and mine and hers, and we've got it. You can find it somewhere, but it'll be on Sweaty and Pissed Facebook.
Yeah, so if you want to see some of these products in action, Tess has applied those on our lovely Leanne, and I was listening to or watching one this morning, and I saw that she said to use your eye cream and then put it around your lips to help with those straw lines you're talking about.
I know, isn't that a good tip?
Excellent.
I know.
Tip. I know, she's so good.
I know. She's got good tips, honey. She sits and studies that all day long, every day.
She knows her stuff.
She does.
Good for her. So another supplement question. Sylvia was asking about the magnesium supplement that I talked about, and I think you purchased as well.
I love it.
It's a combination magnesium, and it's life extension.
Oh, and I think it helps me relax my legs, to relax at night. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to be crass, but I'm able to poop. I'm not a good pooper, and that magnesium has changed my life. I really feel like it has. That with a probiotic, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly the name of it because they have several different magnesium products, but this one is a combination product, and the point of the combination is we tend to have fewer side effects from it. Like loose
I've ordered
stools.
it. Let me see if I can find it.
I think it's just their magnesium cap. Yes, it's just their magnesium cap. They have an extended release magnesium, but it's just life extension magnesium caps.
Yes, 500 milligrams.
Correctamundo.
Yes, I love it.
So that's for Sylvia. But I also wanted to tell you, Leanne, that Sylvia said, "Greetings from London. Loving all the information, but in a previous podcast, you mentioned getting a magnesium complex. What is the brand you recommended in the podcast? Many thanks." Okay, listen to this. Hope one day Leanne will do her show in London. I have dreams of her coming to Edinburgh for the Fringe Festival in 2022. She's very specific. It's so good. 2022, I will be 60, and I plan to go for the first time to the Edinburgh Festival, she's saying. And it would be wonderful if you could be there. I have my health issues, but I'm working on overcoming them. I will be there. And let me tell you, if you go to Edinburgh, I'm going to Edinburgh. And Forrest is going to Edinburgh.
Okay, well, let's go. Well, isn't that sweet of her?
Yeah, so you have an invite to London and Edinburgh.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I'll have to write that down and tell my concert promoters.
There you go.
And it'll probably be 2022.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable goal.
Well, how wonderful. Well, and I'm glad she's working on her health
that's
issues.
Really good. That's
good for
really
her.
Good. I'm with you.
Sylvia. Is that her name, Sylvia?
Sylvia. Sylvia in London.
Oh.
I know.
Sweet.
And here we sit in Knoxville.
I know. Isn't it crazy? It's a small world now.
It is. Tiny. So I have one more from Stephanie, and she asked, how do you feel about Alpha-Sorb C supplement? Alpha-Sorb C. And that's spelled ALPHASORB-C. And that is a product made by Now Brand, which we talked about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
for the DIM. And it is specifically the C form, the form of vitamin C. I'll spit this out. The form of vitamin C is L-threonic acid. L-threonic acid. And L-threonic acid is an active metabolite of vitamin C. So the idea is that it's more absorbable. And in a 2011 study, L-threonate, which is L-threonic acid. I'm doing well with that name, aren't I? Just trickling off the tongue. L-threonate in this study was absorbed rapidly, and its absorption was enhanced by food intake. So that's something else to consider. If she's going to do AlphaZorb, it is a good option because it is highly absorbable form of vitamin C. And in this, at least in this study, it showed that taking it with some food enhanced that absorption even more. So that would be a good product to use. I think it has some additional, it has a little calcium and magnesium, as I recall. But the key ingredient is the fact that it's an L-threonic acid enhanced form of vitamin C. So I thought that was a really good question.
That is a good question. And that's good to have vitamin C through this flu season. And
yes. And I had mentioned, when I did the podcast on supplements to take during COVID, I mentioned the Garden of Life vitamin code raw vitamin C because it has gastric enzymes and probiotic in it to help with absorption. But again, the L-threonic acid form would also be a good option for good absorption. So yeah, that'd be a great thing. Great option, Stephanie. Yay. So I thought those were a lot of good questions.
That is a lot of good questions.
Mm-hmm. And we've had a lot of good feedback on the skincare and makeup episodes. Everybody loves Tess. Surprise, surprise. Yeah.
She is a ball and so fun, but she is, because of this COVID, she's having to live with us and she is sick of it. She tells everybody everywhere she goes, I'm moving out as soon as I can. She's supposed to do a movie with Sony in March, the end of March, 1st of April. And I hope she can because she's sick of me and her daddy.
Yeah. Does she have a calendar in her room where she's crossing off every day?
I think she's looking at her phone and it's got, I think so. Because she said, I'm sick of y'all. And Chuck every night will say, is anybody coming home? Is Tess is she eating with us? Like we are so pitiful. We want them all to live with us and they have their own lives.
Yes,
and
they're adult human beings.
I know. And it's just not fair.
I know.
And you want to cook for Forrest and you said, I'll just tell people in a group text, she was, about recording today. She goes, do you want me to fix you lunch, Forrest? And I got so tickled because I thought that is me. I say it all the time. I've got a roast in. Does anybody want to come? So we'll never stop, but that's fun to have him. I'm glad you got to feed him today.
And you got to see a lot of family this week because it was your birthday this week.
Yes, I turned 55 on last Saturday. I was working, but I got to be with Tess on my birthday, but I got to be with my family last night. We went to an outdoor place. Y'all probably been because y'all are hip and over that way. But in South Knoxville at the taco.
Oh, the South Knox Sono.
We sat outside and ate. And
that's a yummy place.
Oh, very yummy. So we did that. I got to be with everybody. And then this weekend, Charlie's having a baby and their young friends, it's the young shower for the young people. And they're having it like
that means no Leanne
outside. Do what?
That means no Leanne, huh?
Well, they are going to let me go. They're going to let me go, but it's for their friends, couples, and I'm hosting my daughter-in-law's mother and her sister and her husband and baby. But I've got this house. I've got a basement that's finished, people could come and live here and I would never know it. There may be squatters in my basement for all I know. We never go down there except to get a spray tan. Tess and I spray each other.
I was going to say, you probably have squatters who are using your tanning equipment.
Can you imagine if there was an old homeless man getting spray tans down in the basement? But anyway, so they're going to come, and her sister is a nurse. And she works on, I think she works on the gastrointestinal floor of a hospital. And so, anyway, the shower is going to be very socially distanced outside. The venue can hold like 100 people, but they're only having 30, I think. And it'll be, outside. And so, everybody's just trying to make do with what they can. It's not the traditional stuff, but.
Well, I'm sure all our listeners would love to wish you happy birthday. So I'm going to wish you happy birthday for them.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you. I do feel like 55 is a different.
But you look fabulous at 55.
Oh,
fabulous 55. For sure.
Thank you. Well, my stomach's sitting on my lap right now, but I do feel I reached under to get to my purse on the plane. I almost threw my back out, and I thought, 55's different. But I'm going to try to do the best I can and keep myself healthy and going and doing, jerking a suitcase. I'm going to do. I just hired a trainer. That is going to help me with those not kind of a boot camp and yell at you and you have to flip a tire across the parking lot. I've done that and I don't want to do it anymore. But she's had the same hernia mesh in the same area. And she helps people as you're aging, like how to breathe, how to hold in. You and I've talked about on podcast episodes about how when you have babies, your rib cage separates. What is that called?
Your abdominal muscles, diastasis recti.
Yes, and she's going to work with me on that.
Good.
Pulling that back in.
Yes.
And she's going to give me a lot of exercises to relieve stress, because I'm taking care of my elderly parents. So she said, Leanne, your trapezoids are up between your ears. So she's going to give me ways that my posture will be better, that when I do go on tour, that I can, when I'm grabbing a suitcase so that my muscles are in shape and where they're supposed to be. Yeah. And my posture where it's supposed to be. And I'm really looking forward to that because I thought about getting a trainer and I've had them for years on and off. And I thought, I just don't want to push a sled across a big old thing that the UT football players are doing. I just don't need to do that. That's not what you need.
That is not what you need.
Right.
We're working on keeping your spine aligned when you're doing all that activity, hoisting suitcases up and lifting them off the conveyor belt and all that. You need to work on not only muscle strength, but spinal alignment, keeping your spine aligned.
Yeah, she talks about that all the time, and she'll say engage, pulling my belly button back to my spine while I'm, in breathing. So she'll say, she said, it'll take a while to get all this, but you'll eventually get it. And she said, I'm going to give you a routine to do in a chair in a hotel room where you don't have to lay on a nasty floor. You don't know who's been there. She said, I will give you a routine you can do with your parents for them.
Good. Oh, good.
Yes. And so it's all that kind of stuff. And I'm ready to, to get back into it. And she also said, she watched videos of me and she said, I know that you wear heels on stage and you stand for over an hour. So and you lean on this side. And she said, I'm going to make sure that you can be on stage in a pair of heels and that it keeps your spine aligned and that, you won't be injured or, also you got sciatica or whatever.
Yeah.
She said, we're going to work on all that. So I'm so tickled. It was a God thing. She came out of nowhere. I'm not kidding. I'd been thinking, what am I going to do? And all the trainers I know I love, but I was just younger back then and I did a bunch of crazy mess. And it was just like God sent her. I'm not kidding.
Fantastic.
And through a friend that's been seeing her for about a year. So yeah, and she lives out here right near me.
Perfect.
No. And she's going to give me routines to be on the road. So
That's what you need.
Yeah, I don't need to push a sled.
No, you're going to have to take a tire with you everywhere otherwise.
Oh, I don't need that, honey. My purse is big enough. I've got to clean that purse out. If that purse is probably getting my spine out of line. But anyway,
I'm sure it is.
You know me, I'm a talker. I could talk from now on. Well, I've had a ball today.
Me too. And thank you, listeners, for all your questions and comments, feedback. It's so great to have you on the Facebook page. Don't forget to visit our website and look at the blog info. There's tons of stuff in there for you to.
And we've got merchandise. We've got
merchandise. Yep. We got great
mask,
merchandise.
And people think the mask is a pair of panties. It's not.
It sort of looks like it, though.
Sweatpants. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. So visit that page.
You can get that link from our website or from the Facebook page, either one. And check out the videos that you and Tess have done, Leanne and Tess have done. Those are fun. And I do want to thank Forrest Wenzel, our producer and patient man all around.
Yes, he is. Thank you, Forrest.
And for our theme music that he's written, and for Stephen Brown for our artwork. Don't forget to visit Glitterville. He's on Instagram at Glitterville, and he always has fun videos and tons of
and he's
products.
Revving up for Halloween.
That's exactly a big time right. For him. This is it. This is the time. So he's got
and Christmas.
Yes. So his Instagram is blown up with just beautiful, fun things. So check that out.
Fun.
Yeah, check that out for sure.
Okay, my darling.
All
good to see you.
Good to see you. Take care. We'll see you next week. And everybody stay safe and wear a mask.
Sweaty and pissed. Sweaty.